Welcome to Cloud Study. We are going to discuss Essay 200, AAS1, Basic Principles Governing an Audit. Learning Contents. Introduction, Integrity, Objectivity and Independence, Confidentiality, Skills and Competence, Work Performed by Others, Documentation, Planning, Audit Evidence, Accounting System and Internal Control, Audit Conclusions and Reporting, Effective Date. Introduction. This standard describes the basic principles which govern the auditor's professional responsibilities, and which should be complied with whenever an audit is carried out. An audit is the independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit-oriented or not, and irrespective of its size or legal form, when such an examination is conducted with a view to expressing an opinion thereon. In this standard, the term financial information encompasses financial statements, integrity, objectivity and independence. The auditor should be straightforward, honest, and sincere in his approach to his professional work. He must be fair and must not allow prejudice or bias to override his objectivity. He should maintain an impartial attitude, and both be and appear to be free of any interest which might be regarded, whatever its actual effect, as being incompatible with integrity and objectivity. Confidentiality. The auditor should respect the confidentiality of information acquired in the course of his work and should not disclose any such information to a third party without specific authority or unless there is a legal or professional duty. Skill and competence. The audit should be performed and the report should be prepared with due professional care by persons who have adequate training, experience and competence in auditing. The auditor requires specialized skills and competence which are acquired through a combination of general education, technical knowledge obtained through study, and formal courses concluded by a qualifying examination recognized for this purpose, and practical experience under proper supervision. In addition, the auditor requires a continuing awareness of developments including pronouncements of ICAI on accounting and auditing matters, and relevant regulations and statutory requirements. Work performed by others. When the auditor delegates work to assistants or uses work performed by other auditors and experts, he will continue to be responsible for forming and expressing his opinion on the financial information. In the case of any independent statutory appointment to perform the work on which the auditor has to rely in forming his opinion, such as in the case of the work of branch auditors appointed under the Companies Act, 1956, the auditor's report should expressly state the fact of such reliance. The auditor should carefully direct, supervise and review work delegated to assistants. The auditor should obtain reasonable assurance that work performed by other auditors or experts is adequate for his purpose. Documentation. The auditor should document matters which are important in providing evidence that the audit was carried out in accordance with the basic principles. Planning. The auditor should plan his work to enable him to conduct an effective audit in an efficient and timely manner. Plans should be based on a knowledge of the client's business. Plans should be made to cover, among other things, such as acquiring knowledge of the client's accounting system, policies and internal control procedures. Next, establishing the expected degree of reliance to be placed on internal control. Next, determining and programming the nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedures to be performed, and coordinating the work to be performed. Audit evidence. The auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence through the performance of compliance and substantive procedures to enable him to draw reasonable conclusions therefrom, on which to base his opinion on the financial information. Compliance procedures are tests designed to obtain reasonable assurance that those internal controls on which audit reliance is to be placed are in effect. Substantive procedures are designed to obtain evidence as to the completeness, accuracy and validity of the data produced by the accounting system. They are of two types. 1. Tests of details of transactions and balances. 2nd, analysis of significant ratios and trends, including the resulting inquiry of unusual fluctuations and items. Accounting system and internal control. The auditor should reasonably assure himself that the accounting system is adequate and that all the accounting information which should be recorded has in fact been recorded. The auditor should gain an understanding of the accounting system and related internal controls, and should study and evaluate the operation of those internal controls upon which he wishes to rely in determining the nature, timing and extent of other audit procedures. Audit conclusions and reporting. The auditor should review and assess the conclusions drawn from the audit evidence obtained and from his knowledge of business of the entity, as the basis for the expression of his opinion on the financial information. This review and assessment involves forming an overall conclusion as to whether 1. The financial information has been prepared using acceptable accounting policies, which have been consistently applied. 2. The financial information complies with relevant regulations and statutory requirements. 3. There is adequate disclosure of all material matters relevant to the proper presentation of the financial information, subject to statutory requirements, where applicable. When a qualified opinion, adverse opinion or a disclaimer of opinion is to be given or reservation of opinion on any matter is to be made, the audit report should state the reasons therefor. Effective date. This standard on auditing becomes operative for all audits relating to accounting periods beginning on or after 1st April, 1985. Thanks for watching. Subscribe channel for more updates.